Amanda. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Hope you're having an awesome day. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to hang out with me. I know, it's a very different setup than my usual one. We only see my arm over here because we are going to be doing a dedicated swatch party. On Ulta's website, I spotted these Makeup Revolution palettes and they reminded me exactly of these Huda Beauty palettes right here. So I have all of the ColourPop green palettes to compare against the Makeup Revolution green one. I also pulled out the ColourPop Honey and the Midas Cosmetics Lemonade palette for the yellow. I know this mini Norvina palette might be a good one for this, so I just kind of went through my collection and wanted to do a comparison video for you guys in case if you might have had your eye on these Huda ones, which are about $30 compared to the Makeup Revolution ones, which are about $9. Hopefully the style of video is going to be beneficial. I have another swatch party video idea that I want to do in this angle as well, so hopefully this goes over well and that you guys find it super useful. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I will leave my swatch party playlist linked to watch previous swatch parties, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and give this video a like. Let's get swatching. This is the first one we're going to be swatching. This is the Neon Shadow palette, and this is what the inside looks like. And then we have the ABH Norvina Mini Volume 1, and this is what the inside looks like. And then the two palettes side by side. I'm also going to be swatching with my left hand, so that's going to be a little interesting to see. So this is just a trial and error of how I'm trying to swatch them. I wasn't happy how the first row turned out, so I'm just redoing just for reference. And this is the Makeup Revolution palette swatched. I definitely see this palette staining in your future. My fingers are stained from doing swatches. I'm also concerned how some of these mattes are gonna blend out. If they're gonna be a little bit patchy, you can kind of see some patchiness in the swatch, but overall, there's definitely pigment in these shades. And now for Norvina Mini Volume 1. And this is what the two palettes look like swatched side by side. The shades are not exact dupes. There are definitely some similarities, but I want to note that the Makeup Revolution palette does feel a little bit more creamy with both the mattes and the shimmers, while the ABH Norvina has a lot drier feel. But I also would like to note that the ABH Norvina 1 palette does have a little bit more richer pigment to it. Like, you don't see the patchiness that you see in the Makeup Revolution swatches. I think the closest match in this palette is going to be this pink shade. And the shimmer that we had in Norvina 1 has a more duochrome effect than the Makeup Revolution one, which is pretty much a rose gold. Next, we'll do some swatch comparisons next to the Huda Beauty Neon palette. And this is what these two palettes look like swatched side by side. And then for reference, this is what the palettes look like side by side. Now, if we have all three palettes side by side, I think the Makeup Revolution and the Norvina are a little bit more closely related when it comes to their color stories. Norvina has more coral to it than the Makeup Revolution, and then I think the Huda palette has a little bit more purple than the Makeup Revolution one. I do think that Huda's formula was a lot more creamier than Norvina's, more along the lines of feeling like Makeup Revolution. I think this pink in Huda is most closely related to the Makeup Revolution one, and then I think that this shimmer is almost close to the purple shimmer in Makeup Revolution. It has more of a lilac shift, whereas in Makeup Revolution it has more of a violet shift. I'm not sure how redundant and excessive this may be, but if we're gonna stick on the line of Huda, I also have the Amethyst Obsession palette. It definitely pulls a little bit more on the purple side than this palette. I thought it was a little worthwhile going on ahead and swatching this palette side by side as well. And this is what the Huda Amethyst Obsessions looks like compared to the Makeup Revolution Neon. Makeup Revolution Neon has a little bit more pink, where the Amethyst Obsessions definitely is heavier on the purples. Now, if we stick in the purple family from ColourPop, I have the It's My Pleasure palette. So this is It's My Pleasure and the Makeup Revolution palette side by side. And then I also have a Lilac You a Lot. And then there's Lilac You a Lot next to the Makeup Revolution Neon palette. First, we're going to swatch It's My Pleasure. And this is It's My Pleasure swatched up against the Makeup Revolution palette. It has more of a similar color story to the Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions palette. More heavier on the purple berry shades as opposed to these pink shades. Next, we're going to swatch Lilac You a Lot next to the Makeup Revolution palette. And this is Lilac You a Lot swatched next to the Makeup Revolution Neon palette. I think the purples in Lilac You a Lot are a little bit more closely related, like these two purples right here. I think the Lilac You a Lot one swatches a little bit better, and then this purple shimmer right here are closely related, but I think I would have a more preference of the Lilac You a Lot one than the Makeup Revolution. I think it's just more of a beaming shimmer than the Makeup Revolution one. I like my shimmers to be really beaming and popping, whether it's on your lid, inner corner, or if I get back into brow highlight. And if that wasn't enough from ColourPop, I also have the Ooh La La ColourPop palette, and this is Ooh La La next to the Makeup Revolution Neon palette. I think Ooh La La is going to be the pink counterpart to Lilac and It's My Pleasure, since the Makeup Revolution palette kind of has a good mesh between pinks and purples. And now let's add Ooh La La to the mix. And this is Ooh La La swatched next to the Makeup Revolution Neon palette. I think we finally found a decent match with these pinks right here. And also this gold shade. I think the Ooh La La shade is a little bit more gold, whereas Makeup Revolutions is more of a rose gold. I think the Ooh La La one is just a little bit more beaming. Perhaps wetting the Makeup Revolution one would help build that emphasis that we see on just the swatch alone in Ooh La La. I think the Makeup Revolution should have had a nice pink shimmer to it, because I keep staring at the Ooh La La one thinking, man, that would have really been a cool shade in this palette. So if these 6 palettes weren't enough, I actually thought of 2 more as I'm doing this video. One of them being the new BH Cosmetics Sweet Shop palette. This color story is going to be Cotton Candy. Originally I had this palette set off to the side because it's going to get its own dedicated swatch video like this style with some of these same palettes that were previously swatched. I'm going to mention it in my BH Cosmetics dedicated video. I definitely was not expecting these pan sizes to be as large as they are, because if you have any of like the Take Me Back to Brazil palettes, they are tiny itty bitty little pans. So to see big pans like this really excites me. Since these 2 are fairly new releases, let's just swatch them side by side in case if you are torn between either BH or Makeup Revolution. And these are the 2 palettes side by side. And this is the BH Cosmetics palette swatched compared to the Makeup Revolution Neon palette. Originally, what I had planned is just swatching these 3 palettes next to it, but once I saw the purple shades in this palette, I decided to pull out some purple palettes, and I even thought of some more. I have 2 more palettes I still want to compare, which the shades are going to be duped instead of swatching all of the shades in this palette compared to this one. I have the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet. There's a couple shades in here that I want to see if this could perhaps be a dupe for. And then the ever so trusty Morphe 39S palette. I want to compare the shades in here to it. Super closely related with these shades right here. In Makeup Revolution, it pulls a little bit more pink, and then in Naked Ultraviolet pulls a little bit more purple. I definitely like the shift in Ultraviolet over the one in Makeup Revolution. Has more of like a mint shift as opposed to Makeup Revolution having a true white shift to it. Both shades have a rose gold shift to them, but I like how beaming it is in Ultraviolet versus Makeup Revolution. And these are the dupe swatches from Naked Ultraviolet versus the Makeup Revolution Neon palette. Last palette, I swear. guess this would have been a better shade for that, and vice versa. And this is the Morphe 39S palette, duped next to the Makeup Revolution Neon palette. I hope you guys enjoyed this video doing comparison and dupe swatches next to the new Makeup Revolution Neon Shadow palette. Originally, I had planned on swatching these other 3 palettes in the video as well. Based off of this video, looks like they're going to get their own separate dedicated video as well. So I would love to know what you guys thought about this style of video. Was it helpful having the camera angled like this? I think for me, it just helped me place out the shadows in a more even placement as opposed to how I normally do like a flex in my typical setup. Also, I don't think it put as much strain on my arm, even though it is slightly on fire from just swatching so many, wiping off the shades and back, and it is slightly stained as well. I hope it was super useful, especially against these 2 palettes, which are about $20 more than the Makeup Revolution one alone. Or if you were just thinking about adding it to your collection and seeing it against all of the ColourPop or even the Morphe 39S palette. That was my goal for this video. So we have 3 more to go, and as I mentioned when we swatched the BH Cosmetics palette, I also want to do this style of swatch video as well against pretty much probably these same palettes in here and then some. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and if you don't, I appreciate your view anyways, and I'll see you in the next video.